Good afternoon, everyone. I am HRC Chair Emily Kite, and I would like to welcome you to the November 9th, 2022 Historic Resources Commission meeting. The HRC is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by North Carolina general statutes, the City of Asheville's Unified Development Ordinance, and Buncombe County Ordinance. We are authorized to hear requests for certificates of appropriateness for alterations, demolitions, new construction, and other work within historic districts or for the alteration and demolition of historic landmarks and other duties, including preliminary review of subdivisions as specified in the ordinances for the HRC. I will now ask commission members and staff to introduce themselves. Before we start with that, I would like to welcome Amy Moxley to the commission. This is her first meeting, so very nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome to the group. I'll start down here. You want to, Will?
Will Hornaday, Albemarle Park.
Sue Oliva Fletcher.
I'm Emily Kite. I'm a local architect.
Emily Sprang. My master's degree is in historic preservation, and I work in residential design and construction.
Amy Moxley, I'm an architect.
Maria Day Sassi, and I'm an architect.
Janice Ashley, legal staff to the HRC, and I'd like to introduce our newest attorney. This is Taylor Morris, who started on Monday.
Welcome.
And as we usually do with our new attorneys, we make them go to a little bit of everything because we're not sure which area they're going to practice in yet. And I let him know that the HRC does an excellent job of quasi-judicial procedures, which was a new term for him. And so I said, pay attention when our chair does this introduction of what it means. So, no.
So much pressure.
That's why I waited to say it until after you got through your process.
That's good. Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex Cole. I'm the HRC staff liaison.
And I'm Avery too, planning technician, planning and urban design department.
Okay. We will consider the minutes from our October meeting for the HRC. The minutes include findings of fact and conclusions of law. Are there any corrections? Is there a motion?
I'll motion to adopt the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We're going to begin the evidentiary hearings for the items listed on our agenda. As a quasi-judicial proceeding, the HRC is not setting policy, nor are we soliciting public opinion for the desirability of an application. The HRC hears and considers evidence presented and applies the standards set forth in the guidelines and standards of the specific historic district for that application. The HRC must make its decision upon competent, material, and substantial evidence to determine the facts of the hearing. The HRC will use judgment and discretion to apply the standards contained in the relevant guidelines to the facts. The commissioners, in voting for an item, will not have a fixed opinion that is not susceptible to change, will not have a conflict of interest, and will not have engaged in ex parte communication regarding this application. Rules for speaking. The meeting is open to the public, but participation is limited to interested parties who wish to provide comment and testimony regarding the proposal. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and how they relate to the relevant historic district standards and guidelines, not personal preference or opinion. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, I'm going to administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. So if you are going to be speaking on behalf of an application, if you would please come forward and we can catch everybody together. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the information you present during the hearing for a certificate of appropriateness or preliminary subdivision approval before the Historic Resources Commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to our first public hearing item, which I think if we look at the agenda, we've got old business at 311 Cumberland Avenue in Montford. We're going to start with our staff review from Alex.
Thank you, Chair Kite, members of the commission. Sorry in advance if I'm looking back and forth. I wasn't able to actually print my hard copies of my staff reports. So I've got staff reports in one place and presentation on the other. So this will be the third time that this application has been reviewed by the commission. I want to give a little bit of in-depth context for our newer commissioners. I know Commissioner Del Ceci was here last time around, but I know this is Commissioner Moxley's first time with this one. So this is obviously a new construction project in Montford on Cumberland Avenue. It's for a new 2-story primary structure with a 1.5-story accessory structure. And so the primary things that we've been working through the last 2 meetings, as you all probably remember, were really related to the design of the accessory structure, being that accessory structures in Montford are limited to 1.5 stories, and how do you necessarily work with having an upstairs living space for a structure like that. And the kind of design language between the 2 structures was not necessarily working in the previous iteration because the primary structure has a pretty low pitched roof. And the accessory structure last go around was not really consistent with that, with the roof form of the primary structure. So since the last meeting, let me go back to this first slide. There were some site, and basically when I drafted my staff report and dropped it in your folder, the other day, I had still some outstanding concerns that I changed a little bit based on some revisions that the architect sent me in the last few days or so. So one being today, I received new site plan that showed as you all might recall, we talked some about the retaining walls that are come off the street that are curved where the driveway apron is. And so they are proposing to retain and repair the wall and stairway on the north side of the driveway. And then the south side of the driveway, they do want to bump that further south to allow for a wider driveway entrance, but it will be rebuilt in the same curved configuration, reusing as much existing material as possible. So I think the driveway width is 10.5 feet as proposed. And so then we just need to add a condition on the approval that the trees that are proposed for removal that are within the city's right-of-way are confirmed as being okay to remove with our city arborist. So that will just be one condition. They did add landscaping, basically identified the proposed planting materials in the revised site plan. And there was, in addition to the accessory structure design being modified, they also made some revisions to the rear elevation of the primary structure that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I don't think they're super substantial in terms of what we were looking at in the previous iterations. But this is the revised perspective rendering showing the newly designed or redesigned accessory structure. It is very much the same in the same square footage, and overall square footage and building footprint, but they were able to redesign it so that the roof form is more similar to the primary structure, and it is not quite as tall. I think it's 23.5 feet, which is more in line with accessory structures that the commission has approved in the past than the previous proposal. So, and these are the elevation drawings. The deck is also relocated to the rear elevation, which I think helps the overall design of the structure. To me, this really does clearly read as more of an accessory to the primary structure than either of the 2 proposals. So the only concern I've noted, and I didn't pull it up in my plans. Let me grab the elevation drawing to show you of the primary structure. The only thing I wanted to note that maybe we didn't talk about before because we were kind of hyper-focused on the overall design were the proposed doors on the primary structure. On the back, they are proposed to be clad sliding glass doors, and I don't necessarily have any strong objection to that on the rear elevation or concern about that, but that's not something that the commission has approved in the past. It's usually the commission's required, French doors, like fixed doors. There was one application years ago where someone did nano glass, but it was kind of this weird situation where it was within a deck that they had to accommodate a doorway, so it was a little bit unusual, but other than that, the commission's always required fixed doors, so just a note on that, but I'll let you guys weigh in as you want on whether or not you think that's appropriate, of course. Let's see. And the only other outstanding item that we really need from the applicant, and we can just get this, this can be a condition, is we need the exact specification for the garage doors. There was a garage door spec included in some information that we got, but it didn't identify the exact door design. Okay, so you can see on the first and second story of the rear elevation of the primary structure where the doors that I'm talking about are in terms of the sliding glass, so. And I think that was everything I wanted to note to you all. If there's anything I can go back over for those who haven't been here for all 3 meetings, I can certainly go back into any details that might be helpful or answer any questions that you all might have.
Any questions for Alex?
That, if you can scroll up an image, maybe more.
The perspective? or-
Yeah, of the ADU, is that 2 stories or 1.5? I don't know how to count that, because there's 2 roofs on top of each other, it kind of looks like. It's so far back, I'm not, but I just, as a precedent of a 2-story ADU in the back with 4 dropped corners.
It's not dissimilar from an accessory structure that was approved on Cumberland Alley probably 5 or so years ago. It was a smaller structure, so like they weren't trying to accommodate, 750 square feet on both floors. It ended up being more like a 500 square foot second story living space because of the ceiling heights where the dormers were kind of cut out. Yeah, I think we're always going to be hovering between what's really defined as a 2-story structure.
I just don't know as a
From a-
non-architect how to define that exactly. And the other thing, I looked at the driveway and it's about 9 feet, and so are the other ones south of there are the same width.
The architect did go out and do some measuring of nearby driveway width, so I'll let him
Okay,
speak
great.
to that. But in the past, for new construction, the max that the commission has allowed is 12 feet. I don't think 10 and a half feet is totally unreasonable, but
And it's just the south side wall
Right.
that's being rebuilt to form a current shape, and because it sort of has the jog.
yeah, it will be
Okay.
rebuilt to be the same, like curved design as the existing. So I think from the streetscape, it won't be a giant change to have an extra 1.5 feet there, in my mind, but, and I understand, that is kind of a tricky street from being able to see when you're turning out into the street, I guess, but I think that's up to you all. I can't think of another application where someone's requested to widen an existing driveway, but I think it's at least a step in the right direction to retain the one wall and then to rebuild the other one in the same configuration with matching or existing materials.
And could you remind me, is the one side of the wall was covered with concrete, correct? That's kind of failing?
Yeah, I think it was sort of piecemeal patched over the years, and then there's so much vegetation on it. It's one of those situations where they're gonna have to get into the construction before they know if there's probably any usable material there. And maybe that's probably a condition that we should put on the CA, is that they'll submit a material sample for new material to match the wall, since we can't really see the wall right now, so.
Thanks.
Sure. And I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Hornaday. I think this is the closest we're gonna get with a structure of this size to be,
ADU?
yeah, meeting the the design criteria, if you will, for accessory structures.
It's so far back, it's just really gonna be hard to, I think,
Yeah, and there
see
is,
that in the curve of the crest of the hill, it's kind of
it
at
is,
it or beyond it in the dark back there.
yeah, and this is the revised streetscape rendering, so you can kind of see that it's going to be tucked behind more than maybe you think, unless you're just looking straight up the driveway.
Snooping around. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Alex? We can hear from the applicant if there's any additional information you'd like to share.
Thank you, Alex. I'm Aaron Wilson with Wilson Architects, and I did do a little bit of, I went out and measured all the driveways on that section of Cumberland. There were 11 driveways out there. They were all 9 feet or more, and there were some were down further south were about 13, but the average was 10'6", and so that's what we decided to do. And to the finish, the walls there, the wall to the right of the drive is faced with concrete. I think my best judgment says there's rock behind that, and it was put on to save the wall. On the left-hand side, it's stone still. And even the left side is in not great shape, but we need to get in there and kind of pull everything off of it and see what's there. If the commission wanted to make it if you could put it, I mean, I don't know if you do this, but if you put in there that the builder had to meet with staff or something to look at it at some point, we'd be happy to do that, to get somebody out there and take a look at it once we clear it out and have a better sense of what that is underneath.
You mentioned that though, Aaron, I would say we have had, like, when we talked about where, things have come up during construction, et cetera, where all we would ask is that in any situation like that, whether it's the wall or some other site issue or something that comes up, just to reach out to us, and then we can figure out next steps if we need to re-review it or if something needs to change or whatever.
Okay. And then the sliding doors, I think we're probably open to your suggestions on the sliding doors. I didn't feel like the sliding doors had a very different appearance than the French doors, but if that needs to change, I think we'd be open to that. The garage door, I did have a spec in there on a metal garage door. I wanted to ask the question if metal garage doors can be approved. They will look similar to what is shown in the rendering with the full light at the top panel. But I can provide a better spec on that. But I did want to ask if a metal door was okay.
Does the, in the rendering, does that represent the wood grain metal finish?
Yeah, it would be a wood grain metal finish.
I'd be hard pressed to.
Think of one that was
But-
metal.
I'm pretty sure that the commission has approved metal door on new construction before. Every once in a while, people will do like the clay or not clay, but the like carriage house doors
Mm-hmm.
that definitely look more authentic.
And when they've got the wood grain texture on them and it's painted, it's hard to tell if it's wood or not wood.
Yeah.
I think there is a bit of a difference with the wood grain metal.
Oh,
perhaps.
well, we'd be happy to paint it too, I think, if that made a difference.
Some of them will come finished that way, where they just look right.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah, it's
looks
like it's like a pre-finish.
So I think the standards talk about using, is this applied to it that materials compatible with the main building and other historic structures in the district?
And that's where I get confused, because the windows and everything would be allowed to be the aluminum clad, so those are metal. I mean, they're smooth.
Well,
But
wood is the preference for the windows, and then
Not on new
Existing
construction.
structures.
new.
Yeah, new construction projects, the commission has allowed aluminum clad, and then for the one last month, you all allowed fiberglass windows, so it's really on a case-by-case basis for contemporary materials. And again, reviewed a lot of projects at this point, so my brain has a little bit of fatigue.
Yeah.
Specifics of every project, but I think.
You don't remember
I'm pretty
everything
sure
about
that-
every project, Alex? Come on.
I'm pretty sure that the commission has approved metal doors on new construction before, but I do agree that probably a smooth finish would be.
I'm not sure there is an option for a smooth finish on a metal door. I've never found a good one. I don't know if anybody knows
No,
that,
the metal tends to oil can, and
Okay.
it gets wavy if you don't.
Okay.
You cure that by giving it some kind of
Texture.
texture.
And, I mean, we can always go back in time and try to confirm if you all, approve, I mean, the garage doors will need the spec for anyways. So
Yeah.
you could just approve it,
And that's,
without knowing exactly what the material is, and then I can go back and look at. make sure-
that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, and then if we're like, all of them are wood, then we know that.
Right.
And so the paint, just so I understand, the paint on the garage doors would be the same as like the front door or something?
Well, we were actually showing it as the stain finish, so that's what we're presenting here, but I think we would certainly be open to painting it if that.
Is that the only element of that has a stain finish on the house? It's just those
The
doors?
The exterior doors are also stained, on the front door.
Is that, okay, so that's not paint on that reddish door I'm looking at?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's a stain finish.
It's kind of a commitment is my only concern to the,
Well, honestly, a painted finish might make it go away a little bit more even back there in the shadows, the stain kind of stands out.
That's what I think. I think if you painted it, it would go away.
Yeah, and if you're going for like a nod to the historic, if a door was wood and it would be painted, it wouldn't look much different than a painted metal garage door with a wood texture on it.
that's very true. Erin, anything else you want to mention?
That was it, just here to answer any questions that you have.
Any other questions for Erin?
Thank you.
We're going to open the floor for public comment. And then we're going to close the floor for public comment. And we're going to have any additional discussion, commissioners, on this application. I think, Will, I struggle a little bit with the same question that you had about the sort of 1.5 story versus 2 story. The
Right.
problem is we wanted the roof to flatten out. When we do that, we make it harder
Yeah.
to be 1.5 stories. And my preference, I think the trade-off is worth it in this particular case because the language between the two, I think, is much closer
But it looks like it belongs.
to each other.
I think that's why the standard was written the way that it was instead of giving a specific dimension, because then it gives, in this type of scenario, or, especially when we're looking at existing historic primary structures and new accessory structures, it gives the designers more
Flexibility.
flexibility because, every house in Montford or any historic district is unique. So this, if we were talking about it, imagine if this were an existing historic house, it's a little bit easier for me to understand that there needs to be some latitude for people who are trying to design and meet that standard. And I think too, when the guideline was amended, and right before I started with the city, to change it to 1.5 stories, and it was because of one accessory structure in particular that was, I don't think it was just the height that was overwhelming, I think it was the overall size of the accessory structure, so that's why the amendment came about.
Was to help us in the future limit the
Yeah.
size of this. Yeah. Anybody have strong thoughts about the sliding doors?
I think because they're on the back of the home and will never be seen, and it's a new structure, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Erin, those are proposed to just be single light sliding doors?
On the back, no, I think we had them full glass, but with a glue back.
It's hard to tell in the rendering. Maybe there's lines in there. just didn't see it.
Yeah, we have a 4-light door.
It's 4 light, okay.
All the double arms are 2 over 1, so that would kind of.
I wish the second story had them behind the screen.
Yeah.
I think I feel better about the ones that are in the screened porch on the first floor than I do the second floor. Sliding windows, sliding doors.
Yeah.
I think somehow I think they'll obviously are gonna read differently with the screen there, but,
Aaron, did you say there were multi-light doors?
yeah, they're 4 light.
There's four panels. I mean, they're full vest door, it's similarly divided.
Commissioners, any real concerns that we need to address? No? Are we ready for a motion?
I guess I would like to ask one more question for Aaron. The roof pitch on the accessory structure, did you match the pitch on the main structure?
It matches, yeah, it's 5 and 12 to match the main house. The main house also
Aaron,
has
can you come up to the mic, sorry?
Sorry,
Sorry.
yeah.
The ADU has a 5 and 12 pitch to match the main house roof, but the main house does also have a 3 and 12 porch roof on the front there.
Okay. Thank you. I was just thinking a little bit more about what Commissioner Hornaday was saying, about it reading as a 1.5. I think it does, but it might help even more to just bring those, I guess you would call it the primary roof, the ones that are on the corners, down just a little bit lower, like maybe just increasing the pitch on that a tiny bit so that it's like middle of the window height. That might help it more read like.
It's down to it's a 16-foot plate height at those corners.
Which is probably the lowest you're allowed to be, right?
I mean, to
Or
get a
head
headspace in there, it's going to be really hard to.
Gotcha.
And we did actually reduce the footprint a little bit. It's down to 750 now from 800. And so we're really, we're trying to balance all those
Because
things
you've got
out.
stuff under it, under
There
those
is
corners.
stuff under
Yeah,
it,
there's
and
the
it's going to
stair
be a
and the.
real
Right.
challenge to
Mhm.
frame. But we'll figure that out. But to make any usable space in that area, I think we have to have some amount of clearance.
Well, I mean, as it is, I think it does read as 1.5 instead of 2 because of those lower portions.
I think the overall scale is nice compared to the primary
Yeah,
in ways that we've been hoping for, I think, on this one.
and also having the facade with just the garage doors and not an entry, I think.
And
helped a lot.
centered doors too, yeah, that helps.
Yeah. It's turned out pretty nice. We ready for a motion?
I've just got to get to it. My tablet has been being really slow.
Want to read off mine?
No, it's okay. I think it's going to come up.
I think they didn't fully shut this down whatever last meeting was.
Okay.
They're just a little squirrely.
All right. Madam Chair, based upon the evidence presented to this commission, including Exhibit A, application and plans, 13 pages, Exhibit B, new construction worksheet, 4 pages, Exhibit C, primary accessory structure data, Exhibit D, manufacturer specifications, 10 pages, Exhibit E, additional window specifications, 4 pages, Exhibit F, window details, 3 pages, Exhibit G, revised site plan, received September 5th, 2022, Exhibit H, accessory structure, new construction worksheet, 4 pages, received September 5th, 2022, Exhibit I, photos of subject property, 2 pages, taken by staff September 7th, 2022, Exhibit J, response to staff comments, 11 pages, received September 14th, 2022. Exhibit K, revised site plan, received September 14th, 2022. Exhibit L, revised drawings and plans, 23 pages, received September 22nd, 2022. Exhibit M, revised site plan, received October 12th, 2022. Exhibit N, retaining wall inspection report, received October 12th, 2022. Exhibit O, revised perspective and elevation drawings, 2 pages, received October 19th, 2022. Exhibit P, revised perspective and elevation drawings, 2 pages, received October 19th, 2022. Exhibit P, revised perspective rendering, received November 2nd, 2022. Exhibit Q, accessory structure elevation drawings, received November 4th, 2022. Exhibit R, revised new construction worksheets, 8 pages, received November 9th, 2022. Exhibit S, revised plans, 12 pages, received November 9th, 2022. And the Commissioner's actual inspection and review of subject property by all members except. I move that this commission approve the certificate of appropriateness based on the following. 1, that the application is to A, construct new 2-story, 3,292 square foot primary structure with smooth stucco foundation, 6-inch smooth LP smart lap siding, an IKO asphalt shingle roof, and weatherwood color. Front entry will be set within a covered porch with wood deck flooring. Wood railing with 2-inch by 2-inch pickets spaced 3.5 inches on center, and wood tongue and groove ceiling. Porch piers will be stucco with square painted lattice screening. Windows will be Sierra Pacific aluminum clad SDL 2/1 double hung and 2 light casement in black color. Entry doors will be Rogue Valley wood with single light and single light aluminum clad French doors. Apply UDO see chapter 7-11-7 to allow placement of accessory structures 3 feet from property line. B, construct 1.5-story, 1,592 square foot accessory structure and materials matching primary structure. Structure will have 2,
You can just say
garage doors, 8-foot by 6-inch wood deck with wood railing, and 2-inch by 2-inch pickets spaced 3.5 inches on center will be constructed on east elevation. C, site work including removal of 33 mature trees due to poor health and or to accommodate construction, removal of existing driveway and construction of new 12-foot wide concrete driveway, 10.5-foot wide concrete driveway in same location. New driveway will extend from the street to the front elevation of accessory structure, and a single, is this staying 12-foot wide parking space?
Right, the parking space didn't get bigger, did it? You just changed that.
We actually made it a little smaller.
Okay. And a single 11-foot wide parking space adjacent to the rear elevation of primary structure. Existing retaining wall and stairway on north side of driveway will be retained and repaired as needed. Existing retaining wall on south side of driveway will be relocated and reconstructed slightly farther to the south to allow for a 10-foot, 6-inch wide driveway. Any new stone material necessary to rebuild the wall will match existing as closely as possible. Flagstone walkways will extend from rear elevation to parking area and from front entry stair to street. 3-foot wide by 4-foot tall painted wood fence will be constructed adjacent to north foundation of primary structure to screen trash receptacle area. Foundation plantings will be installed, ground cover must be established within 15 days of completion of construction, and the remainder of the landscaping must be installed within 3 years. If archaeological resources are discovered during the site work, work will cease until city staff have been notified and have inspected the site. D, all work will be in accordance with attached drawings and plans. All permits, variances, or approvals as required by law must be obtained before work may commence. 2, the standards for new construction, primary structures found on pages 92 to 93, carriage houses, garages, and accessory structures on pages 34 to 35, walkways, driveways, and off-street parking on pages 50 to 51, landscaping and trees on pages 40 to 41, fences and walls on pages 36 to 37, decks on pages 38 to 39, utilities and mechanical systems on page 82 to 83, lighting on pages 42 to 43, and archaeology on pages 32 to 33 in the Montfort Historic District Design Review Standards, adopted on April 14th, 2010, and amended December 9th, 2019, and the standards for the flexible development found in UDO Chapter 7-11-7 were used to evaluate this request. This application does meet the design standards for the following reasons. A, new primary structure is cited so that it is similar to the historic pattern in terms of orientation, setback, retention of green space, and spacing between structures. B, new primary structure is designed so that the overall character of the adjacent streetscape and building site is maintained. C, new primary structure is compatible in height, roof form, scale, massing, footprint, material, detail, fenestration, and proportion with surrounding historic buildings and other historic buildings in the district. D, location and size of window and door openings are compatible in placement, orientation, spacing, proportion, size, and scale with surrounding historic buildings. E, materials and finishes are typical of those found in the district. F, proportion of accessory structure is compatible with the primary structure in terms of height, footprint, and massing. Accessory structure is not more than 30% of the scale of the primary structure and is not taller than 1.5 stories. G, accessory structure has a traditional roof form, materials, and details compatible with the primary structure and other accessory structures in the district. H, new walkways and retaining walls will be compatible with the site and district in terms of dimension, configuration, material, color, and texture. I, existing concrete retaining walls will be preserved and repaired. New section of driveway and parking will be concrete and located in the rear yard. J, protective fencing will be installed around critical root zones of existing mature trees. 4, that the action and improvements proposed in the application before us for a certificate of appropriateness are congruous with the special historic character of the Montford Historic District.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Those opposed?
based upon the foregoing findings and for the reasons set forth therein, I move that a certificate of appropriateness be issued with the following conditions. 1, garage door specifications will be submitted for staff review and approval. 2, any new stone needed for retaining wall repair will be submitted for staff review and approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Both motions carry. Very good. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you all, appreciate your help.
Thank you.
I'll follow up.
Okay, we're moving to our next item on the agenda, which is new business, also in Montford at 75 Cherry Street.
Okay, so this application is pretty minimal, so I'm going to move pretty quickly through this one. This is just some context photos. So the photo on the left is the front elevation, and the photo on the right is the rear elevation. This project includes 2 different aspects. One is removing some trees, these cedar or cypress trees or whatever they are in the front have like substantially swallowed the front elevation of the house. So those are proposed for removal. And then there's 2 trees adjacent to the rear elevation where they're proposing this 2-story deck need to be removed. So they have noted replacement trees on their revised plans that they submitted. So no concerns there. The elevations on the left are existing and proposed elevations. The existing windows that are on the second story, the pair, they're going to be moved down to an existing opening on the first floor. And then there'll be new French doors on both of those levels. You note on the elevation that the doors on the bottom, the proposed doors on the bottom are wider than the doors on the top because they're trying to fit them within that existing opening. I think it looks a little weird, to be honest. I think better for them to match than be slightly off from each other. But it's sort of a minor detail, especially since it's on the back. In the past, when we've had requests come up for 2-story decks, we have said it'd be more appropriate to have a covered porch versus a deck. If you look at the standards for decks, they say the deck should be aligned with the first floor or lower. So having this kind of double-decker on the back of a house with the deck looks kind of out of character for Montford. It would be more typical to have a two-story porch. So that's why there is the alternative rendering on the right-hand side showing the little gable end covering over the porch. So that's their alternative, and that was my suggestion to them, was that they propose that. So that's really the bulk of it. The support post for the deck or porch, whichever it ends up being, will be square painted lattice. So it's a pretty simple request. So that's it for me, but happy to answer questions if you have any.
Commissioners, any questions for Alex?
On the upper left corner of the second floor, there's a former sleeping porch. It looks like that, so if you looked in tight on the second picture in the upper left corner, there's a window trim that rounds the corner and comes around there's a bank of windows around the corner. That was probably an open screen porch or something. Is this change gonna negate any ability to, or what's your feeling on losing that historic element that's been swallowed up over the years, but there's a ghost there? You can still see where the trim of the windows
Sure.
is above that.
I mean, we can't require them to go back
Sure,
and restore
but-
that, but I don't think there's any reason why this couldn't be torn off in the future and that restored, if somebody wanted to do that.
Okay, and the paint for the shingles, is that the new front porch? With the brown or the green?
We didn't get into the weeds on shingle color. Yeah,
Okay.
but that's a good question. We can ask that. I imagine, well, I don't know. I'll let Andrew from Falcon Builders is here, so
Okay.
I'll let him speak to the plan for that in terms of color scheme. But I think, like, to go back to your question about the sleeping porch, I don't really think that this roof form or this structure is going to come over far enough to really mess with that. But if, I think it could come off and be restored in the future or
Yeah, I
something.
think it's clear, but I don't know what's inside, if there's an interior change but it is what it
I
is.
think it's a living space right now. They just want to have access to a
Sure.
deck on the back. And then the downstairs is just being converted into a living space. It's a new living space.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Alex? Okay, we can hear from the applicant.
So Andrew, I've got all your documents pulled up. If there's anything else that I didn't show. I know my presentation was really brief, but if there's anything in there you want to pull up, go for it.
Sure. Hi, I'm Andrew with Falcon Construction. Here for any questions you might have. Just pull up
The shingle color on that new,
on the gable end.
yeah.
We were going to try to match the existing on the front of the structure.
The brown or the green?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you go back to the first document.
You got it. The brown color, let's see.
So it'd be just stained.
Yes, correct.
Be nice to be able to see some of this house.
I know.
Yeah,
It's been hiding.
try to get this.
It's been hiding.
Yeah, the goal is to remove these two evergreens in the front, replace them with littler ones that we can trim and maintain. We'd like to try to match this existing shingle color as best as we can, since these are so weathered, with the stain.
And the aluminum, the vinyl windows are staying in the back that are there, or the bank of three, that's not being replaced with anything?
Correct. Yes, these back three windows are not changing. These two windows would be coming out, going down to that existing opening down here, which we would just widen. There's some significant damage on the lap siding on the bottom, wrapping around the basement structure, that we would be replacing that as well and painting to match the existing trim.
So under the two windows on the upper floor, used to be an opening?
No, this would be a new opening down here that would be, there is an existing opening right here where that kind of panel looks like on the
Right,
window.
and that's where the upstairs windows will move to.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Alex, I think I got confused. Give me a second here. I've also lost my folder.
Let's see if I can pull the drawings back up.
The French doors are going straight on top of the two removed windows.
So that's where you've got questions about the
Correct.
width of the doors being different on the first floor and the second floor.
Right, so you're trying to, yeah, maybe I was confused. So you're trying to go within the opening on the second story.
Correct.
Which is why they're smaller.
The second story opening is
Yeah.
5 feet wide. Ideally, we'd like a 6 foot, but to not mess with the structure too much, we'd like to keep it at the 5 foot. And then down below, we would like to put a 6 foot opening to be able to come out, but I know that that's gonna look a little funny, so.
I mean, rather have it large on the bottom than large on the top. I think it's
Yeah.
less funny when it's,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
balance is better.
And I actually think that the covered porch makes it a little bit less noticeable also. So I would definitely be in favor of a covered porch. That's the sort of optional elevation that y'all presented.
Sure.
How do you feel about, well, we can talk when we talk. It looks like the front may not have come through for a CA to close the porch or at a different time.
I'm not sure when that was done.
But I think instead of putting the shingle color to match the thing that probably wasn't approved, it might be better to have paint on there, but I don't know architecturally how architects think about that. But I just think that we're extending more of an anomaly around to the back.
I would vote for painting it instead of staining.
Sure.
One thing I might be curious about is, is there other work planned in the future? Right, as you talked about some repair of siding that's around that lower level, and that might change the answer, right? If there's future work planned as you get the landscaping out of the way.
To my knowledge, this is it, yeah.
And I totally can understand you all taking an interest in the paint color or whether they're painted or stained. They can paint the whole thing without any approval from the commission or staff even. So, I mean, I'm just pointing out the reality that,
Alex.
I mean, at some point.
We only have a few pointers.
I know.
Yeah, here's just some of that. You can see the
Right.
weathered sections. So ideally, we'd like to just replace all that siding on the bottom, rewrap it.
So the siding on more than just the back is getting replaced?
This is on the,
That's the.
yes,
side.
this is on the right side of the building. There's a retaining wall here, and beyond that retaining wall is siding that wraps around the back.
Right. And
So
that's
you're-
getting.
As you can
you're
see right
replacing
here.
that
As
Lap
needed.
siding on the east elevation too.
Correct.
Parts.
Correct,
And the north elevation.
correct.
West?
It would be the 3 back sides.
Past the retaining wall.
Okay,
Alex,
so all
Yes.
3 sides beyond, okay.
Yes.
Feels like maybe.
Yeah, here's the
there's
front,
addition there.
and then back
Wholesale
behind
or
here.
all? Wholesale or part? Lacing it in or
It would just be new lap siding on that whole bottom
All.
section, yes.
all 3
Yeah,
sides?
it's wide open air right now in certain spots, so.
Sure.
So all of the siding's gonna be replaced.
On that
Below
basement
the
section.
Basement
Mhm.
section, yeah.
Do you know what the reveal of the existing siding is?
I believe it's a 5-inch reveal.
Okay.
So if you're replacing all of that siding down below, then like making the doors the same width, I mean, it's not like you're lacing in material, so you could
Absolutely.
have the same width.
Which would make your bottom one smaller, because otherwise you're gonna make the upstairs where they're not touching the siding.
Right. It would be the
Yeah,
same.
ideally not touching the top would be,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, not touching.
we can make the bottom one smaller easily.
yeah. It feels like there's a condition somewhere in RCA to coordinate the siding material, yeah?
And we just need to stipulate, which I'm putting in the,
Okay.
that it will match
That it matches
existing,
the
yeah.
existing
Yeah.
material. And it's just wood painted?
Yeah, I believe it's a
Siding
white
goes
pine.
To the grade, or is there some?
It goes down to the grade. There's not really any foundation built up that's block.
Interesting.
I know.
It's
At least it's in a
standing,
low
just
area.
maybe.
Yes.
And is, just out of curiosity, the shingles that you see there on the front, are they getting a facelift at all, or are they staying how they are?
Wasn't planning on it since we're doing work mainly on the back and bottom of the structure. But we can include that in the scope to paint it or adjust it if needed.
Not necessarily, I was just curious.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's in our lane. Any other questions for Andrew?
Yeah, I do have, to go back to the doors, it wasn't clear, like on the spec that you provided, like how, what the dimension on the stiles and rails of the door were. And when you look at the picture in the spec, they look kind of beefy. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering how.
I was trying to just find a wood door with tin light, really a French door,
Okay.
because
I was just gonna add that we did put the door specifications as being, like revised door specifications as being a condition for staff review. 'Cause, yeah, I don't think you had figured out.
I hadn't found a wooden tin light French door
Yes, I think we were just, that
in
was
time for this meeting.
question mark.
And you're comfortable reviewing that?
Sure.
Any other questions? We're gonna open the floor for public comment.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll close the floor for public
Sorry.
comment. That's it.
So there's rot in all of that wood on the siding? Or is it just
It's
to match, it's hard to, would that be built?
It's mainly this bottom, 2 feet of the siding coming up. There's, let me see if I can, oops, gotta scroll here. Yeah, as you can
Yeah.
see, it's kind of just a little dilapidated all around.
And some of those are broken up near the top too.
hmm
That photo.
Do you know what's beneath the site?
There's nothing beneath it.
Nothing.
It's just, no.
Is
It's right
it-
up
is the
against-
foundation wall?
There's no foundation wall really coming up. It's kind of right at grade. Then they have their studs coming up
Okay.
on the basement and siding right on it.
Interesting.
No sheathing.
No, we would be putting sheathing on there.
All the wood?
Ventilation.
Right.
Weather barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been there a while.
Scenario might turn out
So
to be
right now
more
it's
of
like
a
crawl space, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see this is kind of a little foundation area. Let's see. Here's the block height down at the bottom.
Mhm.
I think there was and this is the block height, stepping down here and running along, steps back down.
Yeah, I think that's, feels like wise decision-making.
Yeah,
to
good sneak out.
replace it.
Mhm.
Yes. Commissioners, any further discussion?
Yes, is everyone okay with the doors on the back porch as is, with the lower one being a little bit bigger?
Yeah, I don't think it's,
I'm okay with it.
motion maker.
I think I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, based upon the evidence presented to this commission, including exhibit,
Oh, I did that.
including Exhibit A, application and project description, 3 pages. Exhibit B, photos of subject property, 9 pages. Exhibit C, drawings and plans, 7 pages. Exhibit D, manufacturer specifications, 13 pages. Exhibit E, revised plans, 4 pages, received October 26, 2022. Exhibit F, alternate rear elevation drawing, received October 26, 2022. Exhibit G, railing detail and revised site plan, 2 pages, received October 26, 2022. Exhibit H, revised manufacturer specifications, 23 pages, received October 26, 2022. And the Commission's actual inspection and review of subject property by all members, except I move that this Commission approve the certificate of appropriateness based on the following. 1, that the application is to construct 2-story, 11-foot 8-inch by 9-foot 10.25-inch 2-story covered wood porch with painted wood shingle gable and roof on rear elevation. Structure will have wood decking, 6-inch by 6-inch wood support posts screened by square painted wood lattice, and wood railing with 2-inch by 2-inch pickets spaced 4 inches on center. Relocate 2 existing windows on rear elevation to new openings on rear elevation. Install new wood multi-light French doors and existing openings on rear elevation. Replaced damaged siding on basement level will be wood lap siding with 5-inch reveal. All trim and new siding will match existing in dimensions, detail, and material. Remove 4 existing mature trees that have outgrown their original space. Removed trees will be replaced with 4 new trees of same or similar species from the Montford recommended species list. All work will be in accordance with the attached drawings and plans. All permits, variances, or approvals as required by law must be obtained before work may commence. 2, that the standards for windows and doors found on pages 84 to 85, decks on pages 38 to 39, porches, entrances, and balconies on pages 72 to 73, and landscaping and trees on pages 40 to 41 of the Montford Historic District Design Review Standards adopted on April 14, 2010, and amended December 9, 2019, were used to evaluate this request. This application does meet the design standards for the following reasons. A, new porch will be located on the rear elevation and is compatible with the existing structure in terms of roof form, scale, details, materials, and color. B, new modified window and door openings are on the rear elevation. C, new doors will be wood. Existing wood windows are being retained and reused. 4, that the action and improvements proposed in the application before us for a certificate of appropriateness are congruous with the special historic character of the Montford Historic District.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Based on the foregoing findings and for the reasons set forth therein, I move that a certificate of appropriateness be issued with the following conditions. Wood door specifications will be submitted for staff review and approval.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also carries.
Andrew, I'll follow up with you in the next few days or so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's our last item on the agenda.
Yeah, I don't know, if we have another member from the public here, I don't know if she's waiting to get called.
I'm very confused. I'm gonna have to apply for next time. I'm Katie DeWitt. I talked to you on the phone a couple times. But I think I didn't do something right, so I'll do it right next time.
Okay,
But this was a great experience.
Oh.
This is what it's about.
You got a
Yes.
good one today.
You
Yeah,
get a
you
good one
did.
today.
I'm sorry, Katie, that we missed something, I think,
It
'cause
probably was me, because yeah.
I'll touch base with you in the next couple of days and we can.
Let's just approve it now.
Whatever it is fine.
It's pretty simple, but I'll just kind of.
Okay, I'll catch up with you and we can figure out.
Okay.
next steps. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
I didn't have anything else to.
I have something.
Okay.
The South Asheville Cemetery is having a cleanup
Yep,
on the 19th. Did y'all all get this?
yeah,
No, I didn't.
I'm going.
Well, then I'll tell y'all. The 19th from 9 to 12.
Neither.
Lunch is included.
Oh, chili and vegetarian chili.
I didn't know that. But I think you
Last time I
have
was there, I saw a bear.
to, I know.
I
You could
know, when
recreate
you
that
were
right
there.
there.
We could
We
recreate
were there for
that fabulous day. He was moving all the headstones.
It was a beautiful day.
So
It
next
was.
It was kind of
Saturday,
toasty, but beautiful.
ish,
Next
A week from Saturday.
a week from
What
Saturday,
time did you say?
9 to 12.
9 to 12. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, oh, we never did that. We said we were going to, but.
Now
I'll
we are.
forward you the thing
I wish
that
I
you
had
could
had
send,
6
because, or I could
things
send it to
to do
everybody,
that.
but
No,
no.
I'm going to.
No, send it to
So-
me and I'll.
Because you have to
I'm
RSVP for
supposed to
food.
tailgate the
Okay.
Clemson game.
That's food.
That's the parade. My son's gotta be in the parade that day. I'm like quadruple booked that day.
Parade
It's
for
a
what?
lot. The Asheville Holiday Parade is
Oh,
that
that's right, that's right.
Do we have a float this year in the parade?
The kitten in
Okay,
it.
HRC?
Yeah,
No.
not this year?
An HRC float.
We can all just stand on the back of the truck and wave.
You can red floats. We could do that.
I would love that. Could you guys build it like a historical gingerbread float?
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be really fun.
With a bear, we could get a little baby bear.
bear.
put
With a
him-
little certificate of
We,
That's
appropriate.
yeah, we're throwing
Because we are quasi-judicial.
That's right. I can do the gavel.
That's
Only
right.
it could be Jingle bells or something.
Walter Pool got approved.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, sorry,
Quick.
I do have one thing to say. Will just reminded me that the Walton Street landmark designation, as I'm sure you all probably saw in the press, went through with flying colors. I
Yay.
was not there to present. I was really bummed because I was sick and I had all of those presentations that I
Aw.
had to hand off. But yeah, so that's done, and then we're working with parks to look at improved park amenities. So that will obviously come to you guys at some point in the near future.
That's great.
Yeah,
Good for
it's
them
exciting.
and for us.
Very nice.
Thank you for.
We have open seats, so ask all your friends.
Yeah,
We need some gender imbalance at the moment.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
fair.
We can
Willing
use
for your
a little bit more balance. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like, city council is any indicator.
That's true. That's true. Yes. Yes, it is.
Are you gonna move to adjourn? You usually do.
I'm sorry.
Gotta go, folks. Soon I have to pay a meter.
That's right.
Oh,
we're gonna make it?
Yeah, I'm gonna make it. 5:17, mine runs out, so. Yes.
And I don't like the new meters.
I don't